every single person thinking about starting a business has the fear, whether they want to admit it or not, in their head. It's, what if I fail? So let's not ignore that elephant in the room. Let's ask the question.
Welcome to FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast series. Here we talk about all things franchising. What is it all about? Is it for you? How do you find the best one to own? And so much more. Now your host, Tim Parmeter.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast series. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of FranCoach and your podcast host. Today, we are going to talk about a phrase that we hear often from our clients as we near the end of the process of them vetting a franchise and a franchise that they're really starting to like. And we're going to hear them ask us, what's the catch? So today we're going to talk about, what does that even mean? How do you determine if there really is a catch? And what do you do when you realize there isn't one? So we're going to go over all of that and even more is on our agenda today. But before we dive into all of this, let's first, of course, tell you who we are. FranCoach is a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals who are interested in owning a franchise. We are partnered with over 500 of the top franchisors in the country, spanning nearly 60 industries. Our goal is to help our clients find the absolute best franchise for them to own. And our goal of the Franchising 101 podcast series is to help educate people on all aspects of franchise ownership. So that's us. Now let's get into what's the catch. So let's back up for this a little bit. And of course, we get to refer you to all sorts of other podcast episodes that we have done on our process. And as we get to a certain point with folks, we're going to get them introduced to franchises. 3-ish we're going to start with. And that discovery process, and just for reference, episode 17 kind of lays out what the discovery process looks like, but it's 6 to 8 weeks. A dozen to 15 or so steps in that 6 to 8 weeks with each particular franchise, thoroughly vetting them, all sorts of different steps along the way. The franchise is vetting you also, by the way. But as we start to get towards the end, it's sounding good, right? We get the initial excitement. It gets a little muddy along the way. It starts to clear up, and then we start to pucker a little bit. It starts to get real. Oh my gosh, right? Am I really going to do this? It sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? Perfect. So a very important thing. And again, it really honestly should, because it's starting to feel like it is. It's kind of that too good to be true feeling. So that's where that comes in, because as you're going through the conversations with the franchisors, they are telling you all about their business model. And usually when we start with 3 or 4, by the time kind of the what's the catch kicks in, we've eliminated most, if not all, of the others. So we're kind of down to that one. And I use a cheesy analogy as we're doing the discovery process. It's kind of like dating. We're not going to go on a first date and for a cup of coffee and then run off to Vegas to get married. We need a heck of a lot more vetting in this to find out if this is in fact the one. But as we get farther along, it's like, dang, this person really might be, could this be the one? What's the catch? What am I missing? Right. So that's kind of where we are in this. We've kind of narrowed it down. We're thinking about taking that big step of actually moving forward and starting the franchise. So everything we're hearing from the franchise is, of course, it's the positive. Here's the business model. Well, we really like it. We're nodding up and down during the conversations. We're getting excited. We're understanding the owner role. We're going through the financials. We're overwhelmed by all the support the franchisor has. We've talked to existing franchise owners, and they're validating everything that we've heard. We like it. We're connecting. We can see ourselves doing that. But we've got a big step here we have to take very soon, and that's actually it's time to sign the franchise agreement and cough up some dough. So we need to kind of rethink this a little bit, right? And so that's where we'll get the what's the catch. So So that's kind of what that means. Now, how do you determine if there is a catch? Well, one of the things we want to do is we want to flip the script a little bit. And it is a question that seems a little counterintuitive, but it's in everybody's mind. Is I will actually tell clients, when you're talking to the franchisor, or even as you're talking to another owner, very simply ask the question, why would an owner of your franchise fail? Okay. Now, again, we're already at that point. We really like it. We can see ourselves doing it. We're excited, but we're afraid we're missing something. And every single person thinking about starting a business has the fear, whether they want to admit it or not, in their head. It's, what if I fail? Okay. In fact, we did a whole podcast on that. One of our first ones, episode 5, was all about this, because it's right there in our mind. So let's not ignore that elephant in the room. Let's ask the question. So when we ask that question, Mr. and Mrs. Franchisor, Mr. and Mrs. Franchise Owner, for your franchise, why would an owner fail? They are going to give you a very detailed answer. And as you're hearing that, if you are kind of like, they feel like they're describing you, right? You're nodding up and down. Dang, they just described me every step of the way with this. Then we need to run the other direction as fast as humanly possible. Okay. That's not going to happen at this point. It really never does, but we need this validation. But as they're describing, why would somebody fail, for a lack of a better way to say this, the incredibly professional word I'm going to use here. But if you're hearing them describe why somebody would fail, and you're thinking in your head, duh, of course that person would fail doing those things or not having these particular skill sets or traits. If you hear that, now you know, well, I don't meet any of the things that they would say would make somebody fail, right? And then now we can kind of come back to the positive of, aha, there really wasn't a catch. It's the right fit. This is all about the right fit. And you may hear that franchise talk about why somebody would fail. And it may not seem like you at all, but that very next person might hear that and, again, be in the starter's blocks ready to sprint the other direction. Okay. There are franchises that we work with, that we're closely with, that we've had some of our clients go on to start and become fantastic franchise owners. And there was one in particular I always use as an example. If I was looking at that franchise to own them, or become an owner of that franchise, and if I asked that question, they would describe everything that I don't want to do, I'm not good at, have no desire to do. I would be a terrible franchise owner for that particular brand. Now, does that mean that's a bad franchise? Nope. Does that mean I'm a bad owner? Nope. It means that's a terrible, terrible match, right? So when we get back to what's the catch? Well, that's when that's going to come up. How do we determine it? Is very simply ask the question that's in our mind. What is the catch? Why would somebody fail? And then when you get to that point, and then now all of a sudden you realize, like, okay, there isn't a catch. The catch is the whole process, is understanding what your kind of dream scenario is as an owner, everything that's important to you, which is early on in our process with clients. And then the vetting of the couple franchises that we looked at that were eliminated were good, but not the right one. Things we learned there led us to where we are, right? And then that typically kind of gets people right at the end, kind of over that hump. We get to a discovery day, and you actually get the franchise being awarded to you. There's no more thought, there's no more debate, there's no more I wonder, is it? We know we're there. There is no catch. We found that perfect match, and we're off and running. So it is, again, something that tends to be in people's mind when we get farther along. And to be honest, probably if somebody doesn't cross their mind towards the end as they're vetting a franchise, of thinking, hey, what's the catch? What am I missing? And still wondering, what if I fail? Then I might think that they're not taking this particularly seriously, right? So we need to just go ahead and address it, and make sure that there's not a catch. And the way we do is understand, what would cause that failure, because that's what's making us think that there's a catch, right? So all things that, again, as we go through the process with our clients, these are things that we are, again, really just going to flat tell people to ask the franchisors as they get to the end, so they can have that confidence when we get flat to the end of the process. We've gone through the discovery day. The franchise has awarded you the opportunity to become a franchise owner. Like I always tell people, there's no more debate at that point. You're in, you're out. We're not marrying a maybe, and we're not starting maybe business. And that's how we get to the end of it. So that's kind of the what's the catch. So we, as always, we hope our podcasts are helpful and help to enlighten those interested in franchise ownership to not only some of the amazing possibilities are out there, but some of the things that you have to think of and you'll go through during the process. And because this is brand new for almost everybody, these are things that you don't even know are out there. But again, why the FranCoach team, why we are here to help. So we thank you for that. If you enjoy the podcast or have enjoyed other podcasts, we hope you will subscribe to on whatever platform you are tuning into us today. We don't want you to miss any of the episodes. Feel free to go back and listen to them. And also, don't be shy. Leave us a review. As long as it's a good one. We'd love to hear your feedback on that. And then again, if you would ever like to learn more about potentially becoming a franchise owner, then either click the link in your podcast window, or you can find us online at francoach.net. Send us a message. We'll set up a phone call. There is never, ever any fee for our service. So we encourage you to take that first step today to help create your better tomorrow. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Stay safe, and we look forward to connecting with you very soon.
Thanks for listening to FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast, where our ultimate goal is to help educate you on all things franchising so you can create your better tomorrow.